Have you ever stopped to think about your feelings? Like, really think about them? What if your anger, your joy, your sadness, all of it, wasn't just this confusing mess inside you, but more like a chemistry set? Well, that's exactly what we're digging into today. An ancient idea that basically maps our entire inner world onto a kind of spiritual periodic table.
So let me ask you something, straight up. Are you your anger? I mean, when you feel that heat rising in your chest, that frustration, is that who you are? Or what about sadness? When that wave hits, does it define you? We talk like it does, right? We say, I am angry, I am sad. We fuse our identity with the feeling. But what if that's completely backwards? What if emotions aren't these fixed parts of who we are, but are actually just formulas? Temporary recipes. Just specific combinations of more basic ingredients, kind of like a chemical compound that you can actually understand and maybe even change. Now, this isn't some brand new idea. It's actually a super ancient philosophical framework that gives us this radical new way to look at our inner world. It suggests that our feelings are not who we are, but something we experience. And trust me, that little distinction, it changes everything. The source material for this whole thing just nails it with this quote. Thoughts and feelings are governed by elemental rules, independent of the self. Just let that sink in for a second. The moment we start to see our feelings as an objective process, like a chemical reaction happening, they start to lose their power over us. They stop being us. Okay, so let's take a quick trip back in time. The origin of this whole inner chemistry idea comes from a 4,000-year-old system called Sankhya philosophy. You can think of it as one of the world's very first maps of consciousness, a spiritual periodic table for our thoughts, our habits, and our emotions. At its very core, Sankhya philosophy says there are two fundamental elements. On one side, you've got Purusha. This is the witness. It's your pure, silent, unchanging awareness, and it's always at peace. Then, on the other side, you have Prakriti. This is literally everything else. Everything that is observed, the whole constantly changing world of thoughts, feelings, and all physical stuff. And according to this philosophy, pretty much all our suffering comes from one simple mistake. We confuse the chaotic, messy world of Prakriti with the peaceful, steady witness that is Purusha. So, to put it simply, Sankhya is this incredible system that maps out 25 basic elements, or tattvas. It gives us a framework to see our inner world not as one single solid identity, but as a set of parts that are always combining and reconfiguring themselves.
All right, so how are these emotional compounds actually made? How do they get formed? Well, it turns out it all boils down to three universal forces that are always interacting with our inner elements.
The system calls these forces gunas, and they color everything in our world. First, you have sattva. Think clarity, peace, a feeling of lightness. Then there's rajas. That's the force of action, restlessness, passion, that get up and go energy. And finally, you have tamas, which is all about inertia, heaviness, and darkness. Every single feeling you've ever had is just a unique blend of these three forces. And this is where it gets really practical and honestly kind of mind-blowing. Let's break down a really tricky emotion like jealousy. According to this framework, jealousy isn't just one thing. It's a formula. You start with a spike of that restless, passionate energy. That's rajas. Then that energy gets filtered through the element of your ego, which starts comparing things. Then it gets held in place by the element of memory. And finally, it's judged by your intellect. And boom, suddenly jealousy isn't who you are. It's just a process you can observe. And that right there is the huge takeaway. Your emotions are not you. They are just temporary compounds. Once you see the recipe, you realize the emotion is just a configuration. It's not a core part of who you are. And that understanding, that's the very first step toward getting free from their grip. So if our feelings are just formulas, that means something pretty incredible, right? It means we can change the inputs. We can learn to reconfigure our inner state and basically become the chemist of our own mind. Take the element of ego, for example. It's not good or bad. It's just a component. As this quote points out, when the force of tamas, that heaviness and darkness, gets a hold of the ego, it shows up as shame. We get that thought, I am worthless. This table just shows the power of this idea so perfectly. Look at the top row. When tamas, that heavy energy, mixes with the ego, you get shame. But now look at the bottom row. If we introduce the force of sattva, clarity and light, That exact same ego element now expresses itself as peace or healthy sense of pride. The ego didn't change, just the force acting on it. So this is the whole game right here. It's this profound mental shift. Instead of identifying with the feeling, I am angry, we learn to move to a state of just observing it. I observe a configuration of anger currently present in my mind. That simple change of words creates space, a space between you, the silent witness, and that temporary feeling. And in that space, that's where you find peace. Okay, so this all sounds fantastic in theory, but how do we actually do it? In the middle of a stressful day when things are going crazy, how do we actually live as this peaceful witness? Well, the source material offers a really practical tool called the poise method. P is for presence, just notice your thoughts. O is for observer, try to view them neutrally without judgment. I is for investigate, get curious about their formula. This naturally creates S for space between you and the feeling. And finally, E is for embody. You return to that state of peaceful presence which was there all along. And let's be really, really clear here. The goal is not to suppress your feelings or stop the chemical reactions in your mind. You can't, and you shouldn't try. The goal is to completely change your relationship with them, to realize you are the calm, curious scientist observing the reactions, not the volatile stuff bubbling away in the beaker. You are the Purusha, not the Prakriti. This brings us to a fascinating final thought. Modern science is incredible at measuring Prakriti. It can map our brainwaves, track our hormones, it can see all the physical stuff tied to our emotions. But it has no tool that can measure the silent witness, the Purusha. It cannot measure the awareness that is aware of the brainwaves. And that suggests our true self exists in a realm beyond what we can physically measure. So I'll just leave you with this question to chew on. If science can map every single chemical reaction in your brain, but can't find the one who is watching it all happen, where do you truly live? In the reaction or in the witness?